Alright, we have talked about square roots a little bit. We haven't really talked about cube roots. Name some perfect squares for me. Let's write some at the top, just a few of them. Good, so everybody knows what perfect squares are. What's the smallest perfect square? What's the smallest one? What's the smallest perfect square? 1, good. 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, blah, blah, blah. Now, let's talk about perfect cubes. What's the smallest perfect cube? 1. Because the cube root of 1 is what? 1. What's the next smallest perfect cube? Start with, alright, let's start with 1. 1 cubed is 1. 2 cubed is 8. So 8's a perfect cube. What is 3 cubed? 27. Anybody know what 4 cubed is? Look at you. Alright. Yes. So y'all will eventually have a test on this. Not today, not anytime soon. But I want y'all to kind of get familiar with what are the perfect squares and perfect cubes and have them memorized. Okay? So now, let's talk about square roots. So just like this, the square root of 4 is 2, square root of 9 is what? 3, 4, and 5. Alright, so what is the square root of negative 4? 2i. Who didn't know that? Raise your hand. Don't be shy. Okay. Try to type in square root of negative 4 on your calculator. Everybody try it. Tell me what your calculator says. Good. Because, is the square root of negative 4 a real number? No, it's imaginary. And most of y'all said that it was 2i. If you did not know this, this is how you can break it up. Square root of 4 times negative 1. Okay? So the square root of 4 is what? 2. Square root of negative 1? Very good. What are we missing from here? Anybody know? Good. Plus or minus. Sweet. So the square root of negative 4 is plus or minus 2i. Seems like everybody pretty much knew that. Yes?
Why do we put the plus or minus?
Because you can take 2i. Let me show you up here. You can square a positive 2i, like 2i times 2i, or you can square a negative 2i times negative 2i, and you'll still get negative 4. Because, do you remember what I times I is? Negative 1. So 2 times 2 would be 4, and we are about to discuss this. So I times I is negative 1, so that would be negative 4. Alright, what's negative 2 times negative 2? Positive 4, I times I? Negative 1, so it'd be the same thing. Why wouldn't what be positive? Because I is the square root of negative 1. So when you square it, anything that you square that's under a radical is itself, right? I square is negative 1. Okay? Did y'all know this? Y'all remember this? Cool. Alright, so what about cube roots? Can you take cube roots of negative numbers and get a real number? Yes. What is the cube root of negative 8? Anybody know? Negative 2. Good. Logan, right? Because you can do negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, and these would make positive 4. Then times the negative 2 would be negative 8, right? Cube root. So, can you take the square root of negative numbers? No, not and get a real number. It's imaginary. Can you take the cube root of negative numbers? Yes. Alright. So what is the square root of negative 1? We kind of already talked about it. Plus or minus I. Very good. What now? Because that's what you have to cube to get negative 8. Cube means you're multiplying the same number 3 times, right? Do you know that? Don't lie. You do, because that's what you last year. Anyway, so this is the same thing. Negative 2 cubed is this. Alright, negative 2 times negative 2 makes what? 4 times negative 2? Negative 8. Alright. So you can find blank roots of negative numbers. Anybody know what that's going to be? Square roots, or what about fourth roots? Or 6 roots, or 8 roots? Even, very good. You can find even, or excuse me, that's supposed to be, you can find odd roots of negative numbers, just like we did in this one. And you can attempt to find even roots of negative numbers, but if you do that, you're dealing with what kind of numbers? Imaginary. Very good. Yes.
Okay.
Anytime you have a question, just say it, because I won't see your hand. I'm sorry.
Why do you have to put like the plus and minus sign?
If it's an even root, you have to put plus or minus because, like we were talking about earlier, say the square root of 4. That's going to be what?
2.
Good. It can also be negative 2. And the reason why, what is 2 squared? 4. What is negative 2 squared? Yeah, it's still 4 because 2 negatives make a positive. So anytime we have an even root like squared or 4 or the 6th root, we have to put plus or minus.
And why do you have to put like I?
That's if you have a negative underneath an even root.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so moving on. The imaginary number, which we just talked about, I, is defined to be a solution of the equation x squared equals negative 1. In other words, in English, I equals what? I equals, that's I squared, the square root of negative 1. Now I squared is what? There we go. So just I by itself is the square root of negative 1. I squared would be negative 1. Alright, so therefore to find even roots of negative numbers, you need to simplify the radical and take out your perfect squares. So just like we did up here, I just broke it up into 4 times negative 1. That's how I want y'all to do the next ones, okay? So for example, is this an even root?
No.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Let's refresh. If there is not a number right here, we know it is what? No. 2. Square roots is talking about a 2 right here. Now, let's break this up. The perfect square would be 9, right? And I'm going to take the negative 1 and put it beside it. Now, let's do these separately. What's the square root of 9? 3. What's the square root of negative 1? And we need our... And why do we put plus or minus? Because it's in... What kind of root? Even. Yeah, square root. Okay. The next one, is it an even root? Yes, it's got a 4 on the outside. Okay. Do y'all know what the fourth root of, let's say, positive 16? Do y'all know what the fourth root of positive 16 is? 2. Do y'all know how to do that on your calculator? If you don't, raise your hand. I'll come show you. Okay. Antonio, you should know. You just do 16, negative 16 to the what? Not to the 4th. Remember? There's some negative up on here. To the 1/4 power. Remember that? That's what it says not there because it's with the negative. But if you do 16 to the 1/3, I mean 1/4. Anybody else need help with their calculator? Don't be shy.
What do I do?
You need 16, and then you want to raise it so it's this button. And instead of to the 4th power, if it's a 4th root, you do 1 over 4. 1 divided by 4. Alright, so how do you type this in your calculator? Y'all tell me. 16. Good, 1/4 power. Did everybody already know that? So like to find the square root, you do 16 to the 1/2 power. Did everybody already know that? Okay, moving on. So this would be what? My final answer. Plus or minus 2i. Are y'all with me? I can't tell if y'all are really lost or really bored because this is so easy. So which one is it? Easy, lost. Both? Okay, anyways. Alright, this one, is it even or odd?
Odd.
Odd, right? So, do you think it's going to have an imaginary number? No. Because it's an odd root. And also, do we need to put plus or minus? No. So, what is the cube root of negative 27? Good. If you did not know that, all you have to type in is negative 27 to the what power? 1/3 in your calculator. And you can try it now to see if it works.
You all have to around 27?
Isn't it kind of like what is the cube root of -8 anyway? Because
It's just a different number. Alright. What about the next one? What do we notice about it right off the bat? Good, Kate. It's not a perfect square. Kate, right? Okay. It's not a perfect square. But what is a perfect square that can divide into 45? 9, right? Okay. So let's break this up. First, let's bring out the -1. And now we can write this, instead of 45, we can write what? 9 times 5. Good. Because -1 times 9 times 5 is the same thing as -45. Now, which ones could I take out of the square root? 9. That would be what? What else could I take out? That would be what? I. Could I take out the square root of 5?
No.
So I leave it as what? Square root of 5. And I also am missing what? Plus or minus. Sweet. Alright, how do we feel about those? Good. You okay, dear? Okay. Yes, Antonio. This one?
Yes.
So I could take out an I. Just like I took a 9 out, so I could take it on the outside of the radical because it's perfect square. Alright, moving on then. So a new system of numbers called complex numbers, that's what goes in this blank. Complex numbers is based on adding real numbers with imaginary. Okay? Complex numbers will be in the form a plus bi, where a is the real part, so that's real numbers. I'll just put real part. And bi is the imaginary part. So here's what complex numbers look like. 2 plus 3i. What's the real part here? 2, imaginary, 3i. Here we have 2i, we could say plus 0. Or excuse me, let me put 0 on this side. So 0 would be the real part, 2 would be the imaginary. Same thing here, you could write it as 3 plus 0i. Alright, also, you cannot add real and imaginary numbers. They're not like terms. Just like 3 and 2x would not be like terms, okay? So for 2, it's very easy. All we're doing is combining like terms. That's what we've been doing in Math Workshop. So does 5 have a friend? Yes, the 7. So what's 5 plus 7? Does this mean multiplication? So 5 plus 7? And what is -11 plus 4? Good. So you just combine the coefficient of the imaginary number and leave the I. And that's it. Super easy, right?
So you're kind of simplifying.
Yep, that's it. The only thing I ask is that you always write the real number first. So don't write like -7 plus 12, okay? Try B and C on your own. B and C on your own. Let me know if you need some help. You can also type these in your calculator. If you have a TI 83 or 84, I can show you how. Let me know if you want to know.
Oh, no, if I did this right.
That one's good.
I did it right.
Just this part.
Great.
This is I minus negative 6, all right?
So this or negative 6. Wait.
No, you got it back. 7.
Oh.
So you have to keep, change, right?
Mm.
Good. Fix it.
But this being
Yeah. 2 minus 12. I think that's what you meant.
Yes. So
Yep. Alright, who can help me out with B? If you get the correct answer, you can get a piece of candy. Derek?
I gotta come up there?
No, just tell me the answer.
I wouldn't know. Let me do it. He'll know.
7.
Very good. Heads up. Alright, questions about this one? Do I need to work it out? Alright, who wants to do C? Alright, go ahead.
negative 10 plus 7.
Alright, very good. Do I need to go over this one? These are pretty easy. Alright, then flip it. Alright, next let's talk about how to multiply imaginary numbers and real numbers, okay? The only thing that's hard about this is just remembering that I squared equals what? Negative 1. Just remember that I squared equals negative 1. Okay? Everything else is pretty much the same. So, for example, on part A, how do I get rid of the parentheses? Distribute. Good. So we're distributing 4i to each term. So I'm going to write it like this first, okay? You can multiply real and imaginary numbers, their coefficients. You just can't add or subtract them. So what would be 4 times 3? 12i. Good. I'm going to bring down the I with it. And on this one, what is 4 times negative 5? Negative 20. And I'm going to write I squared in parentheses beside it. And here's why. This is I, this is I. They both have an exponent of 1, so I added them. Okay? And then the negative 20 came from 4 times negative 5. Now I can replace the I squared with what? With what? What is I squared? Good. So this would be what? Good. Do I want you to leave your answer like this? What do I? Good. So make sure you swap them around, 20 plus 12i. Because the real part always needs to come first in complex numbers. Questions? Alright. Then tell me what to do on part B. Distribute. Tell me what I'll get when I distribute. 5 plus 2i squared. And I squared is what? So tell me my final answer in the correct order. Very good. Does that make sense? Alright, take a minute to do C on your own right quick, then we'll talk about the answer. Everybody done? Alright, if somebody can tell me the exact way to work it out, and if you get it correct, you can get a piece of candy. Anybody want to try it? Okay, go ahead. Alright. Then what?
-12.
What's he missing? Y'all help him out. Okay. Now what, Antonia? What's he missing? Good. And then I squared, yeah. Now what? We can replace that I squared with what? Okay, so my real part, Antonio, would be -3 times -1. That's going to give me what? Very good. Any questions? Alright, we got 3 more problems and we'll call it a day. Now, these 3, these 3 are all the same. We have to use what? Full method. How do you know that you have to use the full method? Just by looking at it.
2 binomials.
2 binomials. Good. Okay? So we're going to do D together. You're going to do E and F on your own. What are my first terms in D?
7 and 2.
-2. So my first terms multiplied together would give me. Very good. What are my outer terms?
7 and
Good. If y'all forget, think of like outside of the parentheses. So on this side we have 7, this side we have -5i. So what is 7 times -5? -35, right? And we have to bring down the what? My inside terms, name them. Good. So what's -3 times -2? 6, and we have to bring down the... Alright, my last terms. These 2. What is -3 times -5? +15. I'm going to bring down the I squared because we multiplied 2 i's together. Everybody cool so far? Okay. So tell me what to do next. Alright, so what's -35i plus 6i? -29i. Very good. Alright, are these 2 like terms? These 2? Yes, because you can replace this with what? -1, right? So this is -15. Again, because this is -1. So what is -14 minus 15? Negative what? 29. And I need to put that where? Back here? In front. Very good, because the real part always comes first. How do we feel about those? Do E and F on your own. When you get it correct and I've checked it, you can pack up.